Hi kids, my name's Annabella. Bye.
I think they know your name.
Did you just dab?
Okay. Alright guys, we're going to talk about combining like terms. This is what we did in class, and most of y'all did fine, but just in case you needed a refresher, here we go. So, when you're talking about combining like terms, you're talking about a term is a variable. It's what something has in common. So we're going to talk about a couple of things. Before we do anything, we're going to talk about the difference between a coefficient and a constant. So when you see a number like this in front of a letter, this is a coefficient. Okay? So it has nothing to do where the problem has the number placed. It's just a number in front of a letter. So when you see a number in front of a letter, the letter is called a variable, and the number is called a coefficient. When you see a number by itself, like this 5 doesn't have a letter with it, or this 8 doesn't have a letter with it, these are called constants. Okay, this is a constant. So when you have a number next to a letter, coefficient. Number by itself, constant. Okay? So now we're going to talk about combining like terms. So if you look at the first one, I used hearts just because it made it make sense for me. This means I have 3 hearts. This is 7 hearts. So because they're both hearts, I can combine them together. So with a colored pencil, you would circle them. So 3 hearts plus 7 hearts would give me a total of 10 hearts. So your answer would actually be 10 hearts. So I'm just using hearts instead of a letter. So let's look at the next one. I have 9x minus 15x. Because both variables are x, I can combine them, and we're going to use those integer rules. We have a little number subtracting the bigger number. That means the answer will automatically be a negative. Okay? So then I can just go backwards, and I can go off to the side and say 15 minus 9. Well, 15 minus 9 is 6. So therefore my answer is negative 6. But it's not just a negative 6 because those x's were our variable, so therefore it's still our variable. So my answer would actually be negative 6x. Alright, here we go. We have 8u minus 7u. Well, because the u's are the same letter, I can combine them, and that would give me 8 minus 7 is 1, and the u's would stay the same. Okay? I dropped my eraser. If I do this, Annabella, give me a number. Small
7.
number. What?
7.
7, give me a letter.
8.
Plus, give me a new number.
9.
9, give me a new letter.
B.
B. Okay. Now here, if you notice, the numbers, normally some of y'all would be like, oh, well, I can add those, but you can't. And the reason that you cannot add them is because an A cannot combine with an A. Okay? You can think about it like fruit. This means I have 7 apples, and this means I have 9 bananas. Apples and bananas, even though it makes a song, cannot be combined together. So the answer to this would actually still be 7 apples plus 9 bananas, and that's it. Because the letters are not the same, you cannot combine them. Alright. So now we're going to go over here to this problem. Now this looks a little bit more difficult, but it's not. I'm going to turn our camera. Hi, super close. Alright, so what is the same over here? Bella, what's the same over here?
They have the same, they have numbers and they have both letters.
Okay, that's right. So we're going to combine the numbers that can go to the same. Now here's where it's super important to pay attention to. Whenever you have a number, the symbol in front of it is its actual symbol. So it's not a 4, it's a negative 4. So I can combine the 6x minus the 4x because they are both x's. They cannot be combined with the 5 and the 8. So I'm going to come off to the side, and I'm going to say 6x, because it's first, I'm going to write it first, minus 4x. Now again, this is obviously, we all know how to do this. 6 minus 4 is just 2. And then the x's come straight down. Okay, so we did those. But if I notice, there's still numbers over there to combine. Bella, what can I combine?
6 and 4.
I did that. I did the 6 minus the 4. So what's next? What has not been circled yet?
5 and 8.
That's right. So I can combine the 5 and the 8 because they are both constants. 5 goes first, 8 goes second, and 5 plus 8 is 13. And because they're both positive, it's still a positive. So now I can put these together. Now if you notice, this one has a variable, this one does not. So this is my answer. So my answer is actually 2x plus 13. It cannot be simplified anymore. This has a variable, this does not, which means this is my answer. Okay? Now we're going to get a little bit harder. Here, if you notice, there is a number outside the parentheses. Before you can combine like terms, you have to do what's called distributive property. Distributive property means what's on the outside of the parentheses has to be multiplied by the inside of the parentheses. So this 4 is really being multiplied by the 5R, and it's being multiplied by the positive 8. It's being multiplied by both. This is a negative. So you have two things to do. You can either say it's a negative times everything here, or you can also understand that if you see a negative by itself outside of parentheses, it really means negative 1. So putting that 1 there helps us understand that that is also being multiplied. This is not a subtraction symbol. It's a negative 1. So we have to distribute the negative 1 as well. So negative 1 times 6R and negative 1 times negative 30. And if you pay attention, I'm drawing the arrows from the symbol to the symbol so that I understand that it's not just the numbers being multiplied, but it's also the symbol. So now we're going to work them out. So here we go. I have 4 times 5R. Well, 4 times 5 is 20, and then the R just stays the same. Okay? Now I have 4 times positive 8, and so we're going to multiply again. So 4 times positive 8 would give me a positive 32. Now I got to pay attention. It's not a 1, and it's not a subtraction. It's a negative 1. So we learned before that a negative times a positive is a negative. 1 times 6R would give me negative 6R. Again, it's a negative 1 times a negative 30. Well, we learned before that a negative times a negative is a positive, so 1 times 30 would be 30. Again, this is not our answer. And you know it's not an answer because 99% of the time, after we do distributive property, we're probably going to have to do what's called combining like terms. So now that we distributed, this long problem now turned into this. So now I can combine things that are the same. So I'm going to combine. If I look, I have this is an R, can be combined with this R. And again, you circle the symbol that's in front of it. So now I have 20R minus 6R. R's stay the same. 0 cannot subtract 6, so I borrow from the 2. It becomes a 1. The 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. 1 minus 0 is 1. So now I have 14R. Here I have 32. So those went together. I'll use a different color just to help see. I have 32 being combined with 30. They're both positives, so I just have 32 plus 30, which gives me 62. Because they're both positive, it's a positive. And you have to write that symbol there, otherwise it looks like they're together, and they're not. So this super long problem ends up being 14R plus 62. And that is our final answer because these cannot be combined. This has a variable, this does not. Okay? I hope that helps. Bye guys. Belle?
Bye.